Being debt free sounds smart until you realize your money isn't growing, it's just sitting. Money sitting is money dying. The objective is compound interest. The objective is your money being placed in a position to where your money can make its own money. And then that money can make its own money. And what money should you be spending? You should be spending the money your money makes. Does that make sense? Leverage. Again, leverage builds wealth, but that doesn't necessarily mean being debt free is the goal. And how about this? Why is it that being debt free is the goal? Like, who taught us, who ingrained in us that, you know what, this home that you have, your objective should be to pay it off before you put money to work for you? Like, where did that come from? And I think it goes back to a lot of the thoughts, a lot of the beliefs that we have around money, around leverage, around debt were actually given to us. And it's not as a result of something we've learned or something that we educate ourselves around. It's 9 times out of 10, we're following someone else's lead on that. And so, as I mentioned, we've been talking through the 7 pillars as it relates to the family bet. And we started with cash flow last week. So we were breaking down how to and what the process is as it relates to creating and generating cash flow. But the next stage of that is, once you have the cash flow, how do you put it to work? So we're going to cover leverage today, and then we're going to move on into asset growth. And then this area is about protection, whether you're protecting your money today, protecting your money tomorrow, or protecting the culture in which you're breeding in order to create generational wealth. And so we're focusing on leverage today. And leverage is designed to accelerate growth. It's about wealth creation. And the idea behind it is, and it goes back to that stat of 90% of millionaires become so through leverage, usage of real estate, or leveraging other people's money, or leveraging real estate in general to become a millionaire. So if that's how most millionaires, or 90% of millionaires, create their wealth, what's the harm in us doing it as well? Meaning, it allows you to accumulate assets faster, which ultimately translates into generating and creating wealth. And then also, it's income generation. The idea is a spread, creating a spread to where the tool that you're leveraging and or using allows you to free up cash flow if you're paying off debt, or allows you to generate cash flow if you're buying a cash flow generating asset. Bottom line is, the objective is adding more compound interest, your money making money, and the money that your money makes more money. So how do we do that? We have to put the asset in a position so that it can generate wealth. And ultimately, the system must be protected. And the idea behind that is, this is where it's that risk or reward type process if we're not careful. And that is making sure that the vehicle that we're using is somewhat protected, whether that's protected by the rules inside of the product itself, like a properly designed cash value life insurance product, or it's protected based off the structure that you have in place as it relates to a trust, an LLC that allows you to anonymity. So whatever that process would be, it's making sure that the system in place is allowing things to be protected. And when we talk about leverage as a cash flow multiplier, it all starts with some initial capital, and this is where that cash flow comes into place. It's, what is your cash flow doing today? Once you make money from your income, whether it's W-2, 1099, whatever it might be, where does that income go today? How is it being used today? Is it being placed in a position to where it can be leveraged and used and multiplied? And then when we talk about adding some type of leverageable tool and or vehicle, it's that strategic borrowing. It's not borrowing for the sake of borrowing. It's making sure we're taking advantage of the opportunities presented to us, and we're using those funds, I'll call it, with discernment and with the expectation of I'm not going to go after this opportunity unless this opportunity can improve the space that I'm in today. That's kind of like, let's say you've got a cash value life insurance based product and you're wanting to borrow against your cash value, and you're looking to use those dollars that you're borrowing to go do some deal. Would it make sense if inside your policy you're making 10, 12, 13%, but you're going to borrow those funds at some interest rate to go make something less than the 10, 12, 13% that you're making inside your policy? Logically, that does not make any sense. Meaning, why wouldn't I allow my money to continue compounding inside my policy, because it's actually growing faster? It's actually making me more. So if I'm going to leverage money inside of my policy, I at least want to be making a positive spread, something greater than making inside of my policy. And then ultimately, use strategic borrowing, building that additional cash flow, growing and creating more assets, which ultimately turns into wealth accumulation. And so being debt free sounds smart until you realize your money isn't growing, it's just sitting. Money sitting is money dying. The objective is compound interest. The objective is your money being placed in a position to where your money can make its own money. And then that money can make its own money. And what money should you be spending? You should be spending the money your money makes. Does that make sense? So before we kind of dig into the example, let's just reiterate or restate what is leverage, because leverage means a lot of things. And this came straight out of Google. This is nothing special. But the bottom line is what I love about this definition is there's some pieces that I want to highlight here. The ability to act on or influence, and it says influence people. But in truth, leverage is about the ability to act on or influence, meaning I have this leverageable vehicle that I can now use to grow and build additional, whether it's cash flow or growth or an asset or whatever the case may be, it's the ability to act. I'm putting my money in a position to where I can take action. And a lot of times it's about borrowing a dollar. It's a borrowed dollar. Leverage usually involves some borrowed dollar, whether you're using your own or using one from a banking institution or someone else's, and you're putting that money in play. And this definition usually is really more focused on real estate, but the truth is it's about leverage dollars to put in a position to generate and build an asset, whether that's real estate specific, or maybe it's an asset like a properly designed cash value life insurance product, as we like to do. And you don't have to have it all at once, meaning leverage can be a small dollar amount. It does not have to be the entire, you don't have to eat the elephant in one bite. Sometimes it's about taking a small bite, and sometimes it's about just simply getting started. And that's what I think I love most about Velocity Banking, because Velocity Banking is really about taking action to improve the state that you're in today. So it's simply about taking small steps, and those small steps compound and allows your dollar to be placed in a better position so you can take action against larger investment opportunities. And what are those leverageable vehicles? You've seen this before. This is not an exhaustive list. So again, we're talking mortgages, home equity lines of credit, your savings, personal lines of credit, business lines of credit. This is not an exhausted list. But what's missing? From your perspective, what in your portfolio, what in your toolbox might be missing on this list that you have available to you to use? For instance, I'll give you some of the answers to the test. How about OPM, other people's money, leveraging? So maybe you don't have the capital to be able to take advantage of an opportunity, but the guy across the street, your partner, your friend, your business partner, whoever does. So is there an opportunity to create a win-win situation where you can leverage other people's money to be able to put everybody in a better position to win? And if we're going to talk about other people's money, we also have to talk about time, meaning maybe at your disposal today, all you have is your 40-hour-a-week job. How are you leveraging the time that you have today, the age that you have today, the health that you have today? How are you leveraging this time and using this factor to be able to generate more cash flow? Meaning, yeah, you work those 40 hours a week. Is there an opportunity to add an additional 10 in your own personal business so that at some point your personal business can outperform your 40-hour-a-week job and you can reduce? Or is it taking full advantage of that time that you're using at work to gain a better skill, to put yourself in a better position so that you're generating more income, so that ultimately things can start to compound? And if we're going to talk about time, there's also OPT, which is other people's time. It's other people's time and flexibility to be able to assist you in accomplishing your goal, ultimately creating a win-win for others. So my point is, while this is a lengthy list, it's not an exhausted list. And I would love to at least read in the comments what might be missing. What are some of those leverageable tools or vehicles that you're using that isn't even mentioned here, that is absolutely an opportunity for you to be able to put to work? Like one that I think stands out to me is gold and silver. I had a client reach out because they were looking for an opportunity to be able to leverage their gold reserve to be able to purchase other assets, not realizing that banking institutions will absolutely lend against your gold. So there's an unlimited amount of opportunities to be able to identify where leverage is located. And the piece I love about it is once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you see an opportunity as it relates to leverage, it's very difficult to unsee what that may look like.